Right now is Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty, a member of the Senate Banking, Foreign Relations, and Appropriations Committees. Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Give us your reaction to the win in New Hampshire from President Trump.
Well, good morning, Maria. It's great to be with you again. And as you know, I endorsed President Trump very early in this process. I'm not surprised at all. The top two issues that we're hearing from voters in both states are immigration and the economy. President Trump essentially closed our southern border. He fixed the immigration problem. He had our economy growing at twice the rate of any other major economy in the world before the pandemic hit. He is strong on these issues, the strongest by far. I think the American public is lining up and basically demonstrating their support in that regard. I hope that we can now consolidate behind President Trump, do everything we can to see that he wins, because the last thing this nation needs is 4 more years of Joe Biden.
So you want to consolidate behind President Trump. Do you think he's going to lock up this nomination soon? When?
I think he'll get it done very soon, and it depends on the other candidates in the race. But I think what we've seen is a movement toward consolidation. We've got a couple of weeks now before South Carolina. I'm sure that Governor Haley's thinking very hard about what her next steps will be, but I think we're going to see it happen very, very soon.
Let me get your take on the negotiations underway at the border. And I know that President Trump also has been advising Republicans to say, look, if you don't get everything we need at the border, don't go forward. The negotiations are finalizing a portion of the border deal, we're told, sending it to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Maine Senator Susan Collins told reporters that the expected cost will be more than $14 billion, which is what Biden asked for in his national security funding request. Trump posted this on social media. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson is very strong on the border. He will not let our country be destroyed by Joe Biden open border lunatics. However, the White House is saying Johnson is getting in the way. Watch this.
I will say to the House Speaker, if you truly care about the border and dealing with the border in a way that actually helps the American people, then come have a conversation, a true good faith conversation. Be part of the solution. Right now, that's not what we're seeing. He's getting in the way.
Yeah, Senator, yes, she said that with a straight face.
It's just shocking, Maria. When they talk about good faith coming out of this White House, they have shown zero good faith in terms of addressing this border. They have all the policies in place. Look, President Trump had the border secured. This White House came in and systematically took apart every one of the policies that President Trump had in place. They could put those policies in place right now. In fact, this White House went to the Supreme Court last week to get the permission to cut the razor wire at the southern border that Governor Abbott put in place. This is absolutely preposterous. The only language that I've seen coming through in terms of their supplemental request was the White House requested the ability to, quote, reprogram, that's Washington speak, for turning upside down the entire budget of ICE, to turn ICE from a law enforcement agency to a resettlement agency. They are so unserious, it's pathetic. President Trump is right. Unless this is airtight, we better walk away from it.
So let me get your take on the fact that immigration is now the #1 issue for voters. It's amazing that it's actually eclipsing the economy. The migrant crisis causing major issues for blue cities. Maybe that's one issue. A suburban lawmaker living outside of Chicago is calling on wealthy residents to take in the migrants into their homes. Okay. In Boston, at least 100 migrants reportedly sleeping inside Logan Airport, Senator. Massachusetts State Police are being paid overtime to help. And the Biden administration is focused on stopping Texas from enforcing the border, like you just said. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby explained why they asked the Supreme Court to get involved and stop Texas from putting up this razor wire. Watch this.
Does razor wire work?
Does razor wire work for what? Does it work for the Border Patrol to allow them to have the access they need to be able to better process people that are trying to get across the border? I don't think so, and that's why we asked for it to be removed.
The razor wire, officials down there think, was keeping some of them out, and you guys just sued and won to remove it
on behalf of the Border Patrol, who needed to have better access to it.
Senator, I don't understand. I mean, why would you go to the Supreme Court to get the razor wire taken down when Greg Abbott and Texas lawmakers put it up to try to stem the flow of illegals? 10 million under Joe Biden's watch.
Let me explain what I'm often asked to explain. Why would the Democrats do this? You heard John Kirby say the word process. They want to process more people into this country. The question is why? Why would the Democrats subject our nation to the mayhem that fentanyl is delivering in every state? The crime, the human trafficking. Why would they do this? Let me tell you why, Maria. It's because the blue states are losing population to red states like mine. You think about where they've situated these sanctuary cities. It's in blue states like New York, Illinois, California. These sanctuary cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York City, they've all pledged not to enforce the immigration laws. That makes them magnets. What they're doing is they're attracting a disproportionate number of these people that have entered the country illegally, and these people will be counted for the purposes of allocating electoral votes and for the purposes of allocating legislative districts. We count people, not citizens. Therefore, I'm introducing legislation that will make certain that we only count citizens for these purposes, for allocating electoral votes and for allocating congressional districts. When we do that, we take away the Democrats' incentive, because their incentive is power, and they're willing to subject the United States to all of this mayhem just to hold on to it.
It's unbelievable, Senator. So can Donald Trump now pivot to try to get those independents that are right now, in many cases, behind Nikki Haley?
I think he absolutely can, because if you look at what the issues that are concerning the people of the United States, where he stands on those issues, he is by far the strongest. He has a real track record that he can point to in terms of addressing the economy, getting it growing again, in terms of dealing with illegal migration, stopping it, and bringing crime down. I mean, these are the concerns that suburban women have. We talk a lot about whether Donald Trump can attract the suburban women voter. Absolutely, because these are the concerns that are on their mind right now. They're worried about their safety, their children's safety. They're worried about the economy. These are all areas where Donald Trump has an exemplary record.
So what do you want to do in terms of the Financial Services Committee? What can you do to affect change in terms of this economic debate right now? We could still see a recession this year. We're looking at an economy slowing, and inflation is still a problem, up 17% since Biden took office.
Indeed, it's still a problem when what you have is an administration here that wants to continue their regulatory overreach, Maria, and you'll see me pushing back at every turn, whether it's the Basel III endgame that the Fed is working on right now that would increase capital requirements at banks. I mean, just weeks ago, we had Fed regulators saying the banks are well capitalized. We navigated a pandemic without banks going down, yet they're coming back now and trying to raise capital requirements on banks by more than 20%, making us less competitive as a nation with respect to our capital markets, which are the most competitive in the world. Again, we've got to push back on these sorts of regulatory overreaches that come from out-of-touch bureaucrats that may have great degrees from great institutions, but not enough practical experience to make good decisions.
So what can you tell us about this supplemental package, Senator? Are you going to, get any change at the border while also agreeing to money to Ukraine? Where does this stand?
It's hard to say where it stands because none of us have seen text yet. We've been told that it's in process. It's been in process for weeks, and we have yet to see text. All I've seen is the initial proposal that came from the White House, which absolutely was dead on arrival.
Well, dead on arrival, one of the items here is the expulsion authority for a limited number of days only after encounters exceed 5,000 a day. So what, in other words, they're telling you, yeah, okay, we'll send people back after we get 5,000 people a day in.
Again, I haven't seen the precise text on this. The way it's worded is actually confusing. I've seen people try to explain it. It is quite difficult, I think, to explain and understand this until we see the precise text and understand what it is they're proposing here.
When do you think you'll see the text?
I hope it'll be any day now, Maria.
Okay.
Any day.
Senator, it's good to see you. Thanks very much.
Likewise, Maria, as always.
And to you. Senator Bill Hagerty.